Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osamendi, your host, but as usual, that's not the most important thing here. The most important thing about this show is the young lady I'm going to be introducing to you in a couple minutes, because we're going to talk about something that's really going to be on everybody's mind, especially since the 4th of July is coming up. So without any more further ado, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Berenato. She's an attorney in New Jersey here with Bross Frankel. And Liz, good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always good to see you. You know, one of the things we want to talk about is everybody's interested in fireworks during the 4th of July, which is coming up. Not only the 4th of July, most of all summer. Picnics happen, people are shooting fireworks all the time. So I think it's apropos that we should have a discussion on some of the safety of fireworks, some of the ramifications legally, whatever. And I see you've brought some fireworks here, okay? Why don't you tell us what you brought?
Okay. So you basically in New Jersey now, since fireworks are legal, some fireworks anyway, you can go to most any store, food markets, you can go to various drugstores to buy the products. Mm-hmm. So I picked up a few things. These are different types of fireworks, of course, that have different features, but they're very basic fireworks that are legal in New Jersey that all have different colors, different types of explosive features. So when you're buying fireworks, you know, you could look around and see what you like and purchase them. Mm-hmm. And they're always packaged in a very attractive way to attract the customer.
Sure.
And these are just examples of some that I picked up this morning. But one of the things that I want the audience to know is that when you're purchasing fireworks in New Jersey, there's a limited type of firework that's legal here. And I would strongly suggest that if anybody wants to purchase fireworks and blow them off, that they only buy the products that are legal here in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And there is a statute that relates to fireworks. And we do have this article posted on our website, Bross Frankel, mm-hmm. but New Jersey Statute 21:3-1. So if you go to another state and purchase fireworks and bring them back to New Jersey and they're not legal here, mm-hmm. and someone gets injured or somebody reports you, it's not legal to do that. Mm-hmm. You can only use the fireworks that are legal here. And they're very, what I would say, considered low grade. You know, if you go down south, you're going to find much more sophisticated fireworks, more professional fireworks. So that's one of the points that I want to make to the audience, is that you really have to be cognizant of what is legal here and what is not. With fireworks, personally, if you want to see fireworks, my personal feeling is that you should just go to a show and see them right. on a professional level, mm-hmm. because they can be very dangerous for a variety of reasons. Many times people buy these and they don't follow the directions and they don't use common sense, mm-hmm. which is something that is just as important as reading what's on the box. And what I mean by common sense is, if you're having a party at your home and let's say you want to blow some fireworks off, make sure you read the package and make sure you understand the directions first. Then make sure that whoever is there is in a secure area away from where you are blowing these off. Mm-hmm. Because there's no guarantee that this product is going to function the way it's designed. And right. if there's a mishap or a misfire and someone gets hurt on your property, you are potentially liable for that. So if it's the owner's fault in how the product is used, or if it's a misfire on your property, you could still be potentially responsible. So you have to use common sense. Number two, it's not a good idea to blow off fireworks in a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fun, yeah, it's great, but it could cause damage to someone else's property. It could cause a fire. There's a lot of consequential damages, not to, let's say, the audience that's watching, but to outside property owners. Mm-hmm. I mean, if one of these things, you know, lands on your roof or blows up and crosses the street and catches your neighborhood house on fire or somebody's car, right. those consequential damages could be potentially significant. So, and especially now with all these wildfires, the last thing you want to do is have something go off and have your neighbor's yard catch on fire or somebody get injured. Mm-hmm. Also, to common sense of where you store these fireworks is very important, because as you can see from what I have, they're very attractive. And kids can come along and, my kids are older now, but younger kids could come along and like stumble on these things in a garage and say, wow, this looks really cool. Let me go get a pack of matches and we can light them. That's not something that any parent would want to have happen.
Right.
But these packages are designed to pique the interest in the consumer. And it also can pique the interest of kids. And you can see like there's cartoons on these. This one is like a boom box type of thing.
Right.
So, and in fact, like all of these products are made in China too. They're imported here. So common sense, proper handling, proper oversight of the use of these products is extremely important.
Well, that brings up a question I have. Most of them come from China, right? So if there's something defective with the product, who do you legally hold responsible?
Okay, well, that's the Section 402A. It's product liability law. And in product liability law, the stream of what I would say is production.
Okay.
So from the producer in China to the distributor, wherever they are, to the store, to the consumer. I mean, you could basically, in a product liability suit, sweep all of them into the lawsuit. It does become complicated when there's a foreign jurisdiction involved, because then it can be very difficult to process that. Like you might have to go through the Hague Convention or some other way to get to the actual company that made the product. But one of the difficult things when you're talking about filing a lawsuit against a manufacturer or seller is you have the burden of proving that the product was defective.
Right.
And when you have a product that is intended to catch on fire and explode, it's going to be difficult and maybe impossible to prove how it happened and what the cause was, because all you're going to have left is the remainder of the product.
Right.
And if that does happen, you have to retain the remaining portion of the product. If you discard the remaining portion of the product, you don't have a case, because you have the burden of proving that this product was defective and proximately caused the person's injury. So a mishandling of the product, improper use, is always something that a manufacturer will use in defense of the case or claim.
And again, you're right, the burden of proof is on the person. So, was the product defective, or was the person using it improperly? That would be a very difficult thing to prove, I would think.
Yes, definitely. And if you can't prove proximate cause of the product was defective, then you're not going to be able to pursue it. And it doesn't matter how horrendous the injury is.
Right.
And also too, like people sometimes think it's fun to like be a ham and light up the firework and hold it as long as they possibly can before they discard it, thinking that it's funny. And you'll see, I'm sure it's going to happen this year, but you've seen even like professional athletes have mishaps with these products because they think it's funny, and they wind up having their fingers blown off, their hand blown off, or other serious injuries. I mean, these products can cause serious burns and scarring. They can cause loss of limbs, injuries to your eyes, which is another one, hearing loss. There's a lot of things, but even the personal injury part of it is just one aspect of it. It's also the possibility of damage to property owners.
Right. Speaking of that, for instance, let's say you're talking about in a neighborhood. If somebody shoots up a skyrocket and it malfunctions and it goes through a neighbor's window, okay? Does their homeowners cover that? Because they don't know where it came from.
Well, that's a good question, and it's a tricky answer, because number one, you would have to see if your homeowner's policy would even cover that type of event.
Okay.
It might not be the person who set the firework off. It may actually end up being your own homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
Depending on how the policy reads. Number two, you have to figure out, like, where did it come from?
Exactly.
Who set it off? to identify the person who did that might be difficult if you're in an area where, you know, in your neighborhood and you're home inside and you didn't even know your neighbor's blowing fireworks off and something comes through your window. Or, and I've had this happen at my home where my neighbors are blowing off fireworks and one lands on my roof.
Wow.
And then I'm worrying about, well, is my house going to catch on fire? You know,
Right.
or you know, I live in the woods, so is it firework that hits a pile of leaves
Right.
going to set off a forest fire and, you know, take houses down, burn to the ground?
Right.
I mean, these are all things that are, you have to be considerate and cognizant of the fact that there's consequential damages. So if you're going to use these products, you have to find a location that's safe. You have to, it has to be properly used. You have to follow the directions. You have to make sure you do everything right to protect who's with you and your neighborhood.
You know, and you mentioned that if you were going to buy fireworks here in the state of New Jersey, you'd want things that are legal here. What if people bring in fireworks from Tennessee or Pennsylvania or whatever? Is there any legal ramifications for that?
Well, you're breaking the law, number one. Okay, so, I mean, you know, you shouldn't have them here. They're not legal.
Right.
So if you're going to use it, you're violating the law. There could be potentially criminal penalties. There may be exclusions of coverage if you're using a product that's not legal here and it causes damages.
Okay.
The owner or the purchaser of the firework that's using it, they may be personally responsible now because they're using a product that's not legal here. And if it causes damage to a person or property, they could be on the hook personally.
Really?
But as far as, absolutely, if it's not legal here, if I was an insurance company, I wouldn't cover that claim even if the policy covered fireworks because it's not a legal product.
Well, that's very interesting. You're right, because otherwise you could be just, you know, SOL kind of. Because the fact is that I think you're exactly right. I don't think an insurance company would cover that.
Probably not. And also, then it becomes an issue of personal liability. You are now personally responsible. So any assets that you have, that might be something that a person could go after potentially. And also too, on the policing side of it, I mean, that's a crime for having those and using those. So people who go to other states to find like more interesting fireworks, like maybe these fireworks aren't interesting enough, or are not what they're looking for. They want something like more of a professional type of firework, and you have to go to another state for that.
Right.
And you bring them here, you're violating the law right off the bat by doing that. So do not do that. If you want to see these fireworks, go to a professional site. I mean, they have fireworks in Atlantic City constantly all summer long. You can go and see fireworks for free. 4th of July is in 2 days. There's fireworks all over the place. I know all summer long there's activities with fireworks, but you know, even up through Labor Day, you'll see firework displays around. And just go to a professional firework display. I know these things are fun and people think they're having a great time, but if something happens, then you're going to be regretting even having that happen. So it's not worth taking the risk.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, pay a couple bills, and we're coming right back with Elizabeth Berenato and talking more about safety with firecrackers for the summer. Stick around.
I love that we both got an awesome network and save money doing it.
I know, $25. I love that it's guaranteed for 3 years.
Hey, we're sitting on a sign here.
Switch and get Welcome Unlimited for $25 a line, guaranteed for 3 years. Verizon.
Oh, no signal. I don't have home internet.
Oh, that's a red flag.
Find the bars.
Your mom looks a lot like me.
Yeah, couple of hotties.
Thank you?
Ah, man. There's dead spots all over this place.
There really are. Oh, wow.
Nothing. Are you getting a good signal?
No, I'm not.
It's time for Real Home Internet. Get it on the next generation 10G network.
Well, welcome back again to this edition with Coffee with Joe. I'm Joe Osamendi, your host. But again, that's not important. The most important thing is this young lady I have next to me who's talking about something very interesting because we're having a holiday, July 4th holiday coming up, and the summer. And here in New Jersey, people are blowing fireworks all the time and during the summer months. So we're talking about some of the liability, some of the safety features and everything. Elizabeth Berenato, attorney here in New Jersey, is my guest today. Again, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe.
My pleasure. And you know, when we were talking about some of these fireworks about being legal in New Jersey, you have to buy them here. But then the question comes up: is it? Let's say, for instance, this is Jam Box. I buy that in Pennsylvania or Delaware. Realistically, it's the same thing. It could be, right? You don't know that. So, are you committing a crime if you pick up something that's legal in New Jersey but in another state?
The simple answer to that question is to only buy it in New Jersey. I mean, buy the product in New Jersey and you know it's legal.
Right.
And you have proof you purchased it. If you go to Pennsylvania and you buy a product that, let's say, looks similar to this,
Right.
but maybe isn't the same. Maybe it has more explosive features. Maybe Pennsylvania's laws are, more are different than ours, and maybe they will allow more powerful fireworks. That's a possibility, but it's not worth taking a chance.
Sure, right.
And even though they may be packaged the same, they may be very different. And I know that's a popular thing. People go down south and pick them up and bring them back here.
Right.
It might look the same, but it may not be. So if it's not and you use it, then you're responsible for whatever happens if you misuse it.
Okay. We talked about damages with people. Let's say, for instance, somebody gets hit with a firecracker, not a firecracker necessarily, but a rocket or something. What kind of damages can you sue for?
Well, first of all, to establish negligence, there's elements to a negligence claim.
Okay.
There has to be a duty of care, there has to be the breach of duty, there has to be proximate cause that the product caused the injury, and then we go to economic and non-economic damages. And basically, if you meet those elements, then you look to the damages. So first,
Right.
medical expenses. That's a component.
Right.
You're going to have medical expenses. That's part of your damages claim. Immediate and non-immediate, because you might need emergency room care, and then you might need surgery.
Right.
You might need skin grafting. There's all sorts of medical expenses that could potentially pile up on an injury like this. So immediate and future medical expenses. Loss of income and diminished earning capacity. So if you have an injury that affects your ability to do your job and work, you are potentially able to collect for loss of wages, diminished earning capacity. And what I mean by that is maybe when you were before the event, before you were injured, you were doing a job that was a very high pay.
Right.
And because of the injury, you're not able to do that job anymore. And now you have to do a different job that pays much less. Well, that diminished earning capacity is compensable. And it could be a claim that extends for the person's expected lifespan. So think about somebody who had part of their hand blown off and worked in a
Carpenter, for
field
instance.
where, carpenter or where you're using your hands.
Right.
And now you can't do that profession anymore, and maybe there's some other profession, and the earning capacity for that profession is much less. That difference that you have essentially lost, you're able to make a claim for that for the duration of your life or until you're made whole. So I don't know how you would fix a hand and make it function normally, but would still be entitled to the diminution during that time period.
Right.
Pain and suffering. What could be more painful than having a
Sure.
burn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or having like you losing part of your hand?
Right.
Like that is an extremely painful scenario. So you're entitled to pain and suffering, and potentially emotional distress or trauma if you have emotional problems because of the event. That could potentially be an element of damages as well.
Well, we talked about before, if you know where a firework is coming from, that's the issue, because you can obviously trace it back. But what if you don't? If all of a sudden, a firework comes out of nowhere, and how do you go about even starting the damages?
Well, if you can't prove where it came from,
Right.
and you can't prove how it happened, then you do not have a claim for any particular person or company, because proximate cause is where I go back to on that.
Right.
You not only have to prove that the product caused the injury, but you have to identify who actually caused it in the first place, who set this firework off. And if you have a lot of people setting fireworks off,
Yeah, who
it
knows?
may be absolutely impossible to identify who set it off. And the other element, that's the last element that we add to our damages claim, is punitive damages. And that's where it gets very tricky, because that is a very specific type of damage, and that's basically to potentially punish economically the person, tech fireworks, and somebody gets seriously injured. That could potentially be a punitive damages claim as well, because the person who set it off was using an illegal product in New Jersey. Whether they knew it was illegal or not does not matter. It's not legal before you start doing that. You have to know what's legal here and what's not. But the punitive damages is intent to punish the person. So let's say, for example, you have a claim where the person hurt their hand, and they have all these medical bills piling up, and then they've got the pain and suffering piling up, and then they've got the loss of income piling up, and then they've got the emotional distress added on to that. And then on top of that, now you've got punitive damages tagged on, and they can be very significant. They could be 3, 4, 5 times more than the value of everything.
Really?
So, and again, the other component is liability. So if the product's not legal and somebody gets hurt and you're the initiator of this event,
Right.
you could be on the hook personally for everything, and it could potentially wipe you out of everything you own.
Really?
So absolutely, it's nothing to mess around with. Don't automatically assume, audience, that a homeowner are going to pick up the claim for you. It might have an exclusion on your policy, and if it doesn't have an exclusion, and you have a product that you're using that's not legal here, they have no reason to cover you.
That's very interesting, because I never thought of the liability aspect of this before. But it is. I mean, it potentially, you not only have physical damage and stuff, but there won't be any compensation if you can't find out where it came from and who shot it. So you could just be out of luck. I mean, just have an injury that was caused by who knows who, right? So there's no way to trace that back.
Potentially no. And if you are at an event where fireworks are being blown off and it's not a professional event, you need to protect yourself too. And you have to use common sense.
Right.
It's not just the person doing it, but if you're at somebody's home and they're blowing off the fireworks and the homeowner is telling you to stay far away,
Right.
because if there's a misfire or something happens, we don't want anybody getting hurt, and you decide that you don't want to heed that warning and you get hurt, well, you've actually assumed the risk and potentially caused your own injury by not following the directive of the owner.
What about if you go to a professional event, like, in Philadelphia, they always have a great big 4th of July thing and everything. If you get injured there because of some malfunction of the explosive or whatever, the fireworks, who gets sued? The city? I mean, who do you hold responsible for that? It's a professional event, so then it's somebody that did it, bought professional stuff, malfunction, somebody gets hurt. Where do you go from there?
That's a very complex question, and it's a very fact-intensive one, because there's a lot of issues that we need to know about the situation. Number one, the company that put the show on.
Okay.
Okay? If it's their fault and not the product, then they would be responsible for it. If it's a product issue, then you've got the whole product liability
Right.
case that I was talking about, in addition to the company that's putting it on. Now, if you notice in professional events like that, they usually keep people far away.
Absolutely.
They usually make sure that people are not right on top of where they're being blown off. If it's a coastal event, they're offshore blowing them off. They're not blowing them off
Right.
on the beach. They're blowing them off on a barge out in the ocean,
Right.
so that people are not going to be near them. In Philadelphia, same thing. You know, they know what they're doing. This is their job. They know what they're doing. And so the risk of somebody actually getting hurt in an event like that would be extremely rare.
Minimal, you're right. But
Now, if you're on the beach, let's say this 4th of July in a couple days, and you're there to watch the fireworks off Atlantic City on a barge, and people are blowing off fireworks on the beach,
right.
and while you're waiting for the actual show to start, and you get hurt, you don't know who's blowing those fireworks
Right,
off.
right, exactly.
You don't know where this person came from. So you have to use common sense. Stay away from situations like that. Don't put yourself in a zone of danger where there's a potential problem.
Right.
And especially with children, because these things are very attractive to kids. All
Right.
kids love fireworks for the most part. So just use common sense, and you will see this on the beach all the time. People will bring their own supplies,
Sure.
and they'll start blowing them off while there's crowds there. And I just stand there and shake my head and walk away and get away from this, because you just don't know. You don't know if the person's handling correctly.
Right.
You don't know if there's going to be a misfire. There's just a lot of scenarios that can go, in the wrong direction, and we don't want to be part of that.
I guess the best advice is just don't stay around crowds when you're doing this, because you don't know who's got what or whatever. And like I said, use common sense of what can happen to me by whoever's responsible. Doesn't matter, because the severity of the event is going to happen no matter what. So the best thing to be, probably I would think, is just be vigilant on staying away from potential danger. I mean that would be from talking to you, that would seem to be the best advice I could have.
And read the product and what it says about what the product does and the proper use of the product. Because there is information on these packages, but I guarantee you most people, when they buy these things, they open them up and they light them up. They don't even look at the product. They don't look at the directions.
Okay.
So
Liz, you're a wealth of information. I mean, really, I'm so glad you joined me today, because it is coming up the 4th of July. People are going to be using these fireworks no matter what happens. So hopefully everybody in the audience heeded Elizabeth Berenato's advice and understands that the problems that working with fireworks can actually cause somebody. So thank you so much again for being with me today and giving information to my audience. I appreciate it.
you're very welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
My welcome. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next edition of Coffee with Joe.